Okay, you guys, it is me, Donovan Saadiq, the Inland Empire Informer, nationally known as the Recovering Democrat. WNBA season has started, and once again, the pay equity has come up. And for those of you guys that don't know, I was a season ticket holder for the LA Sparks for about 3 years. And after 3 years of seeing the product get worse and worse and worse, I stopped being a season ticket holder as I was asking myself, why am I paying all of these prices when the stadium isn't even filled and I can get cheaper tickets to see the exact same game? So I stopped being a season ticket holder, and which came with parking, by the way, in the Staples Center area, wherever it was. So it was really cool when I used to go. Asked my friend Demetra. I took Demetra to a game. We went to a game together. Again, my homie Demetra, we go back to high school. So we've known each other for a very, 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 very long time. But used to love Lisa Leslie. I was a big, in love with that woman. 6'4". I love tall women. I just love tall women. But Lisa Leslie to me is, when she got married, I was devastated. I was devastated when Lisa Leslie got married. But I'm a big supporter of the WNBA, okay? I still watch the games when I get around to it on TV, because I think the women's sport is a very pure sport of the game. It isn't dominated by a bunch of different people as much. They play a more rounded team sport game versus isolation and three-pointers that you see in the male league. But talking to some of my female friends that are highly educated. These are highly educated women. And they keep bringing up the pay inequality, right? And I'm just like, well, what pay inequality? What are you talking about? So they believe that they should make just as much money as the men. Now, let's face it, a majority of your WNBA players went to college and graduated on time versus their male counterparts. So a lot of these women have degrees, and I'm very sure a lot of them took economics, and it just didn't make sense. So my female friends are arguing with me about the pay inequality. And I was like, what pay inequality are you talking about? So one of my friends threw this out. She said Sue Bird is a 4-time WNBA champion. Been in the league 20 years. She's kind of like on parallel with LeBron James. They're almost equal in stuff that they've done, right? So she would be equivalent to what I guess a LeBron James would be, right? Even though I'm not a LeBron James fan. I don't think LeBron James is really that good. He's never won anything on his own. He's always, going to where other superstars are, where other people didn't do that. Kobe didn't do that. Shaq didn't do that. When they broke up, they won individual championships on their own. So I'm not a LeBron fan, okay? I never was. My son is a big LeBron fan, okay? My son just loves LeBron, right? Got all the jerseys from all his stops, right? So I'm talking to my friend and I said, well, what do you mean? How do you say there's a pay inequality? So you're saying just because they play the exact same sport, they should get paid the exact same amount of money? And her answer was yes. Her answer was yes. I asked her, did you compare the two leagues and the two games and the style of play? She didn't see anything wrong with it. Then I asked her, I said, well, has the WNBA ever made any money? The WNBA, for those of you guys that don't know, is subsidized by the NBA. It is said that the WNBA loses $10 million plus every year. They've never turned a profit. Now, in economics, what business do you know of that can hang around for they're in their 25th year, 24th year, whatever, 20 plus years in existence, never turn a profit, and still exist? I said, so if you're not turning a profit and you're losing money, you can't fill the arenas how do you expect to get paid when even paying your salary is a deficit to the owner? She didn't have an answer. These are educated women. But they love to bash men about pay inequality and things that they're not getting, when I guess the top WNBA player makes about $250,000, which was a raise from last year or something like that. And they're complaining about that. Oh, we have to go overseas to make $1 million. Well, then take your ass overseas. Take your ass overseas to make that $1 million. But $250,000, and I think the basic NBA player, you know, the bottom salary is like $60,000, $70,000. So if I was a bench warmer and I'm playing for 2.5, 3 months out of the year and I'm making $60,000, I couldn't live off of that? It's totally ridiculous. But they actually think they should be paid like LeBron James. They actually think that because of the TV revenue that they're getting in the TV deal, they should get a piece of that pie to supplement their income as well. Well, shouldn't you have to prove yourself and turn a profit first? Madness. Madness. Delusional. Delusional. Who out there, and I just want your honest opinion, and talk about it in the chats, in the comments. Who out there actually believes women should be paid equal to men and their league loses $10 million every year plus? I'm all for women making equal money to men. I'm all for that. But just because you play the same sport doesn't mean it's the same game. Now, before Shaq said this, before anybody said this, I said that they should lower the rim about to 9 feet so that we can see more women dunk and more women do things. And, you know, it's just madness that these educated women, who some of them have taken economics, believe, they actually believe, because they play a similar sport, they should get paid equivalent to what their counterparts are being paid when their sport does not turn a profit. That's not business. You gotta remember, it's business before it's a sport. On the professional level, it's a business first. On the professional level, it's a business. This is not high school, this is not college, this is business and the professional level. And I would be thankful to be able to make any kind of money in the United States with a product that is so bad. If you've seen some of these games, girls are missing open layups. Their three-point shooting is pretty good, but then you got to remember, they had to bring the women's three-point line in a little bit so that these women could make a higher percentage of shots. And I'm sorry, I don't care what female you are out there and how much you don't want to accept the facts. Men are stronger, faster, and you name it. Physically, we are superior when it comes to that. We were designed that way. We jump higher, we run faster. That's just how we're built. You might not want to accept it. Some people would say, a good example is a couple years ago, John McEnroe was asked, because a lot of these feminazis out there were saying that, oh, Serena Williams could beat any man. She's probably the best tennis player of all times. Could beat anybody. And John McEnroe said that if he had to, now remember, John McEnroe he was #1 in the world for like 3 or 4 years in tennis. He said, oh yeah, she's really great. She's the best of all times. Gave her all her props for a female. Best of all time female tennis player, no doubt about it. But she would probably ranked 700th in the world. 700th if there was no barrier between men and women. 700. Out of a planet of almost 8.5 billion people, that's a pretty good ranking. That's a pretty good ranking. But he's absolutely right. He's absolutely right. There's no way in the world, and even she's admitted it in old interviews, you will hear her say that she's good, but there are certain men that she's not going to be able to beat. And we're not even talking on the pro level. We're even talking about maybe some collegiates. Even when she was in her prime, she got beat by, like a few guys when she was, still coming up. And I know some females will say, oh, well, that was when she was coming up. She hadn't reached her peak yet, whatever. It doesn't matter. So going back to the WNBA, if you take the WNBA right now, these are female professional athletes, and you merge the WNBA into the G League, the G League would eat them alive, every last one of them. And those are the facts. I know you guys don't want to accept it, but economically and business-wise, it does not make sense to pay WNBA players more than what they're bringing in revenue. It just doesn't make sense from a business standpoint. If I had a magic wand, I would love to pay them what they think they're worth. I would love to pay them. But business-wise, it doesn't make sense. And DJ Quick, my all-time favorite musician, because he's a musician, said it. If it doesn't make dollars, it doesn't make sense. They can't give away tickets to WNBA games. And I think last year, during the championship between Phoenix and Chicago, the Phoenix Arena, which was scheduled to host the basketball game in the series, was moved to another arena for something better. Because nobody's watching it. Right now, this year, they won't even release the WNBA TV numbers while their commentators lie to you, talking about, oh my gosh, it's taken off. Everybody's just loving it, loving it, loving it. But they won't release the numbers. DJ Quick, if it doesn't make dollars, it doesn't make sense. You had a lot of WNBA owners in the beginning of the WNBA that supported it. But when they started losing money, these franchises started to fold. Good example, how does the Houston Comets, the first 4 years, the biggest dynasty the WNBA has ever had, fold? And they were winning championship after championship after championship, star after star after star, and they folded. The Monarchs, Sacramento Monarchs, folded. LA Sparks almost folded if it wasn't for Magic Johnson. These owners are bleeding money. If it doesn't make dollars, it doesn't make sense. And the reality of it is, it's just showing how feminism is totally delusional. It's totally delusional. If you look at it from a business standpoint, the WNBA should not be existing right now. The ABL, which came before the WNBA, it folded. Why? Because it didn't make dollars, so it doesn't make sense to continue. And a lot of their players folded into the WNBA. But instead of being thankful that the man beast and the man is subsidizing their league, they come up with these delusional tropes of how it's unfair and all this other stuff. Even when the NBA started out, they weren't filling arenas. The ABA, the ABA, when they started, they weren't filling arenas, and they eventually folded. If it doesn't make dollars, ladies, it doesn't make sense. Economically, it doesn't make sense. I think one of the biggest problems of the WNBA, and I'm a big supporter of the WNBA, one of the biggest problems of the WNBA is its marketing. They are not marketing their stars. And let's face it, ladies, the LGBTQ theme, it's not working in regards to bringing families out. And I've been there for 3 years. And I'm telling you, when I even asked my friends to go on a game with me, whatever, they would say they don't want, to do all of that. It's not exciting. It's not family friendly. It's not a family friendly environment. It's a confusing message. I don't know, I thought that was BS personally, but, there's a joke going on that says that the league there's a bunch of men in the league. Have you guys seen Juwanna Man? A lot of people say, the Joanna Man League, and it's sad. But I'm a big supporter of the WNBA, but, I'm also a realist. For this league to continue, it's going to have to change its marketing style and its value. They've had so many WNBA presidents just quit because they can't sustain the lie. They just can't do it. The numbers just don't lie. I'm very sure they would love to pay you $1 million or $3 million or a year. The Chicago Sky, Candace Parker, longtime LA Sparks person. I actually got to see her play as well when she was a lot younger. They won the championship and nobody came out for the championship celebration. It was totally embarrassment. So, ladies, we need to really look at changing the marketing of the WNBA. And, I don't know the exact statistical numbers of the LGBTQ community, but whatever it is, it's not enough to sustain the attendance in all of these teams. I often say, if you look at the numbers of the NBA, I think a third of the NBA, if not more, of the NBA fans are females. So why aren't these females supporting females? It's a mystery. But what do I know? I'm just a basketball purist and fan. I think the women's game is a game that goes back, to a purer form of basketball before we got into isolation and one-on-one. And I enjoy it. I enjoy watching it. I enjoy seeing women get the opportunity to play. I do not live far from where Reggie and Cheryl Miller grew up in Riverside, California. As a matter of fact, they live, I think their parents live about not even 5 miles away from me. And Cheryl Miller, to me, is the greatest basketball player of all times. Cheryl Miller. Cynthia Cooper, which I got a chance to interview Cynthia Cooper, who played with Cheryl Miller. That USC female basketball team was one of the greatest of all times. And I actually believe if you take that team from the 1980s and you put them in the WNBA today, they would whoop ass on any team the WNBA has. I really do believe that. The WNBA has a lot of stars. It has a lot of marketing. But let's be real, ladies. I'm sorry. Men are, we're just strong. We're just built a different way than you. It is delusional to think that a Brittany Griner, who's sitting in Russia in a Russian jail right now for smuggling whatever she was doing, it is delusional to think that she could beat a prime time DeMarcus Cousins. Even with DeMarcus Cousins in his current state, she couldn't do it. You take the G League and you pit them against the WNBA, there's no contest. If you put a top tier college basketball, Division 1A basketball team against the WNBA, there's no comparison. A lot of delusion in the world of women's sports. There's a lot of delusion there. So anyway, you guys, don't forget to check out my website or my YouTube channel, Donovan Saadiq. And do not forget to check out myself and Dimitri K as we talk about what is going on in the new black media. Having blame parts there, but we're in the new black media. A lot of stuff going on. If you guys agree with me, if you guys disagree with me, let me know in the comments. I mean, it's just an opinion. It doesn't mean I know everything, but I am a big supporter of the WNBA. A lot of great stars, a lot of great performers on that level in the women's league. Donovan Saadiq, Inland Empire Informer, known nationally as the recovering Democrat. You've just been informed.